Hello again, Zed. I'm relieved to see you could make our rendezvous for wallet litter on Tungsten, bulletproof hacks for the moth-eaten. Omega here, your grandmotherly accomplice for the next half hour. Tungsten broadcasts at the saddest hour on Wet'suwet'en territory through CICK 93.9 FM in Smithers, BC. Have you ever considered how much you tell others about yourself just by what's in your pockets, purse, or wallet? Back in the Great Wars, spies would literally carry misleading information with them in case they were captured. Conversely, the British successfully used what was later known as wallet or pocket litter to deceive Hitler. In this final episode of our 3-part mystery novel series, we're going to explore what wallet litter is, and I'll be reading from my favorite spy author, John Buchan. Apparently, I'll be letting out the peeping Tom in you today, Agent Zed. Let's go get into some illicit mischief together. According to the site Publishers Weekly, spies are endlessly fascinating. I suppose all of us lead a double life to an extent, with a public and a private face, so we're drawn to fictional characters who do it for a living. Then there's the natural desire to peep into a world normally hidden from us. A spy can be a ruthless killer, a bitter critic of the state, a useful idiot, or the keeper of a nation's conscience. Some of these novels are complex and cerebral, like Le Carré's masterpieces. Others are violent and grotesque, like Ian Fleming's Bond books. Both authors drew on their experiences as intelligence officers to create their plots and characters, so which is more realistic? Civilians like us will never really know. That's part of the fascination too. The spy genre is characterized by most of the attributes of adventure novels: action, heroic exploits by larger-than-life protagonists, strong plots, but the essential characteristic of a spy novel is that its main protagonist is a spy. These books are full of tradecraft, like codes, disguises, and honey traps. Spy fiction is a subgenre of crime fiction, which includes espionage as a major plot device. In this genre, there's always an underlying fear of unknown international menace. The most famous fictional spy to come out of the Cold War was James Bond, created by British author Ian Fleming in 1953. Early spy novels go back to the 19th century, with writers like James Fenimore Cooper, who wrote The Spy in 1821 and The Bravo in 1831. However, spy fiction didn't take off properly until the First World War. John Buchan is considered the world's first spy novelist. Some of his titles in his Richard Hannay series are Prester John, The 39 Steps, and Green Mantle. The 39 Steps later became a film directed by Alfred Hitchcock. John Buchan himself was a colorful figure. Also known as the first Baron Tweedsmuir, Buchan was born in Scotland and worked as a novelist, a historian, a diplomat, and later a politician, serving as Canada's 15th Governor-General. And we here in BC have one big connection with John Buchan. Tweedsmuir Provincial Park, just down the road from Smithers and not far from Burns Lake, was created in 1938 to commemorate Baron Tweedsmuir, aka John Buchan, when he visited in 1937. In the foreword of a booklet published to commemorate his visit, Buchan wrote, "I have now travelled over most of Canada and have seen many wonderful things, but I have seen nothing more beautiful and more wonderful than the great park which British Columbia has done me the honour to call by my name." We get that a lot up here, the natural beauty of the place. If you're ever feeling down, just go outside and breathe in how lovely is this land. I think I said in an earlier Tungsten episode that it wasn't my intent to read entire books or even chapters, nor is it my goal to discuss the finer points of a novel with you. What I'm hoping to do with these episodes is introduce you to books and other experiences that I believe are excellent company for times when you're feeling the want of it. I'll mention elements in a book that were memorable to me, or that maybe connected me more intimately with either the writer or the protagonist. So in this case, the movie Operation Mincemeat is based on a real-life British detection ploy in the Second World War. The movie opens with one of the British characters reading to his son from the John Buchan spy thriller, The 39 Steps. In case you've been wondering where I got the idea for our codenames Omega and Agent Zed, it was in the opening lines to this movie. Buchan begins with an anxious stranger approaching his protagonist, Richard Hannay, at his front door late at night, announcing that his anxiety stems from the fact that he just then happens to be dead. What a great opening for any spy story! I was just fitting my key into the door when I noticed a man at my elbow. I had not seen him approach, and the sudden appearance made me start. He was a slim man with a short brown beard and small, gimlety blue eyes. I recognized him as the occupant of a flat on the top floor, with whom I passed the time of day on the stairs. "Can I speak to you?" he said. "May I come in for a minute?" He was steadying his voice with an effort, and his hand was pawing my arm. I got my door open and motioned him in. No sooner was he over the threshold than he made a dash for my back room, where I used to smoke and write my letters. Then he bolted back. "Is the door locked?" he asked feverishly, and he fastened the chain with his own hand. "I'm very sorry," he said humbly. "It's a mighty liberty, but you looked the kind of man who would understand. I've had you in my mind all this week when things got troublesome. Say, will you do me a good turn?" "I'll listen to you," I said. "That's all I'll promise." I was getting worried by the antics of this nervous little chap. There was a tray of drinks on the table beside him, from which he filled himself a stiff whiskey and soda. He drank it off in 3 gulps and cracked the glass as he set it down. "Pardon," he said. "I'm a bit rattled tonight. You see, I happen at this moment to be dead." I sat down in an armchair and lit my pipe. "Well, what does it feel like?" I asked. I was pretty certain that I had to deal with a madman. A smile flickered over his drawn face. "I'm not mad, yet. Say, sir, I've been watching you, and I reckon you're a cool customer. I reckon, too, you're an honest man, and not afraid of playing a bold hand. I'm going to confide in you. I need help worse than any man ever needed it, and I want to know if I can count you in." In his introduction to the 39 Steps, John Buchan reflected, "It has amused me to write, but whether it will amuse you to read is another matter." His work has sometimes been described as improbable, with a lot of peculiar coincidences. For instance, this paragraph, when the protagonist Richard Hannay is asked to prove his mettle, is a bit odd. He was looking at me with bright, steady eyes. "What was your job in Rhodesia, Mr. Hannay?" he asked. "Mining engineer," I said. "I've made my pile cleanly, and I've had a good time in the making of it." "Not a profession that weakens the nerves, is it?" I laughed. "Oh, as to that, my nerves are good enough." And I took down a hunting knife from a stand on the wall and did the old Mashona trick of tossing it and catching it in my lips. That wants a pretty steady heart. He watched me with a smile. "I don't want proofs. I may be an ass on a platform, but I can size up a man. You're no murderer, and you're no fool, and I believe you are speaking the truth. I'm going to back you up. Now, what can I do?" In response to this, I found a commentary which was written in 2011 and submitted to the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom. It was written by Toby Buchan, John Buchan's grandson. I'll read a few excerpts from that commentary, and so here I quote. "He need not have fretted. Blackwoods accepted it at once, and the book was an immediate success, and more than that, it has become a classic of its kind. Today, the principal charges leveled against the novel are that it is dated, and that it relies too heavily upon improbable circumstances or coincidences. Yet I would argue that even now, almost 100 years after it was first published, the story retains a modernity that is little short of astonishing. True, the 39 Steps isn't read by the young or old in anything like the numbers that J.K. Rowling's marvelous creation attracts. But it's still in print nearly 100 years after its first publication. Indeed, it has never been out of print, something that isn't true of the works of, for instance, Jane Austen. John Buchan has quite often been called the last Victorian, but I've always found this a somewhat lazy description, especially when applied to his writing. The storyline of the 39 Steps makes free use of the technology of its age, cars and a motorbike, radio and the telephone, a fleeting reference to a semi-automatic pistol, and even a monoplane, at a time when all these were rarities, newfangled, almost certainly dangerous, and to many arguably morally suspect. Given that Buchan was 40 by the time the novel was published, their inclusion strikes me as remarkably innovative. It is unsurprisingly a novel of its time, its slang sometimes dated, its characters perhaps anachronistic, and sometimes unfairly pilloried, most of its certainties atomized forever in the cataclysm of the Great War. As to the improbabilities, such is the novel's pace and atmosphere that they go largely unnoticed. Buchan declared that he set out to write a shocker in which the incidents defy the probabilities and march just inside the borders of the possible. And he did exactly that. Besides, are they any greater than those in, say, Frederick Forsyth or Ian Fleming? Both avowedly influenced by Buchan's spy thrillers. Buchan's skill lies in making the unlikely not just believable, but eminently reasonable. Yes, Buchan's books aren't that easy to find anymore. No surprise, there are so many great authors out there, and both library and bookshop shelves are limited. I did find a copy of the 39 Steps on archive.org, and sometimes it pays to do a bit of sleuthing. Mountain Eagle Books had a used copy of Green Mantle that I snapped up. Obviously, this is the moment at which Buchan has his protagonist face the reality of the situation. He discovers a dead body in his flat, the body being that of a man who has consistently said his life was in danger. During the lead-in to the discovery, though, Buchan slips a description of a particularly sinister character. The character is never given a name, but he has haunted me since the first time I read the 39 Steps. I've always felt uneasy that I might someday meet a man who could hood his eyes like a hawk. He mentioned the name of a woman, Julia Segeni, as having something to do with the danger. She would be the decoy, I gathered, to get Carolidus out of the care of his guards. He talked, too, about a black stone and a man who lisped in his speech, and he described very particularly somebody that he never referred to without a shudder, an old man with a young voice who could hood his eyes like a hawk. For me, one of the genius elements of Buchan's writing is his ability to build this sense of unease in his reader. In a sequel to 39 Steps, in another heady thriller called Green Mantle, there's an especially wicked female character. In fact, she's the only woman mentioned in the story. And every time this character is introduced into the plot, the effect on me is tactile. Her cool eyes searched me, but not in suspicion. I could see she wasn't troubling with the question whether I was speaking the truth. She was sizing me up as a man. I cannot describe that calm, appraising look. There was no sex in it, nothing even of the implicit sympathy with which one human being explores the existence of another. I was a chattel, a thing infinitely removed from intimacy. Even so, I have myself looked at a horse which I thought of buying, scanning his shoulders and hocks and paces. Even so must the old lords of Constantinople have looked at the slaves which the chances of war brought to their markets, assessing their usefulness for some task or other with no thought of a humanity common to purchased and purchaser. And yet, not quite. This woman's eyes were weighing me, not for any special duty, but for my essential qualities. I felt that I was under the scrutiny of one who was a connoisseur of human nature. I see I have written that I knew nothing about women, but every man has in his bones a consciousness of sex. I was shy and perturbed, but horribly fascinated. This slim woman, poised exquisitely like some statue between the pillared lights, with her fair cloud of hair, her long, delicate face, and her pale, bright eyes, had the glamour of a wild dream. I hated her instinctively, hated her intensely, but I longed to arouse her interest. To be valued coldly by those eyes was an offense to my manhood, and I felt antagonism rising within me. I am a strong fellow, well set up, and rather above the average height, and my irritation stiffened me from head to crown. I flung my head back and gave her a cool glance for cool glance, pride against pride. And this description a little further on. I had seen the mysterious Hilda von Einem. I had spoken to her. I had held her hand. She had insulted me with the subtlest of insults, and yet I was not angry. Suddenly the game I was playing became invested with a tremendous solemnity. My old antagonists, Sturm and Rasta, and the whole German Empire, seemed to shrink into the background, leaving only the slim woman with her inscrutable smile and devouring eyes. Mad and bad, Blenkiron had called her, but principally bad. I did not think they were the proper terms, for they belonged to the narrow world of our common experience. This was something beyond and above it, as a cyclone or an earthquake is outside the decent routine of nature. Mad and bad she might be, but she was also great. Now let me give you some background on Green Mantle, now that I've read a bit of it for you. This story picks up where 39 Steps ends. Hene has joined the British Army, and we find him convalescing in France, where he's sought out for some dangerous undercover work. Hene operates entirely alone in the 39 Steps, but in Greenmantle, he's joined by 3 memorable characters, and it was great fun to be reacquainted with them during the rereading at this time. I'm going to read to you from the book's introduction to give you a proper sense of the 3 companions. So here it is. The dashing, exotic, and devastatingly romantic Sandy Arbuthnot, Greenmantle, which character is widely thought to be modelled on the traveller and adventurer Aubrey Herbert, the American Scantleberry Blenkiron, who is dedicated to fighting the German Kaiser despite suffering, like the author, from a duodenal ulcer, and the South African Boer Scout, Peter Pienaar. Buchan had served as private secretary to Lord Milner, the British High Commissioner in South Africa from 1901 to 1903, and in Greenmantle draws liberally on his experiences in that country. One final thing I particularly like in Greenmantle is how realistic are Buchan's geographical and social descriptions. I've travelled to Turkey, for instance, and I felt almost as if I was back in Istiklal Kadeshi in Istanbul, or wandering the back streets of Izmir, searching for my night's lodgings. I can tell that Buchan has actually visited these cities, and there's an intimacy to the descriptions that I really like.
You've been listening to Tungsten, bulletproof hacks for the moth-eaten, on CICK 93.9 FM in Smithers, BC, and I'm Christine Bruce. Are your finances in a state? Is the whole process of doing your taxes a big mystery? May I recommend the services of Accounting on Broadway? Barbara and Brigida are the masterminds behind this accounting and bookkeeping business, which specializes in accounting for small businesses and tax services for personal accounts, small businesses, and farms. Accounting on Broadway is a proud member of the Canadian Bookkeeping Association. Take the mystery out of your income taxes with trusted gumshoes Barbara and Brigida. Guess what word I tripped on in the 39 Steps? Smithereens. As in blowing something to smithereens, obviously. That phrase was very popular in spy novels. Pretty cool, eh? According to Wikipedia, the phrase pocket litter refers to any material that accumulates in an individual's pockets. You know how little boys have a reputation for carrying a lot of things around? Well, adults carry similar things, which typically gives clues to the personality and interests. In counterterrorism, analyzing pocket litter can be an important tool for confirming or refuting a suspect's account of themselves. You might recognize the phrase from the 2022 movie Operation Mincemeat. Based on a true story from World War II, Operation Mincemeat was a movie about a British deception operation. The movie was directed by John Madden. In the movie, false pocket litter, including a photograph of a supposed girlfriend and forged receipts, was planted on a corpse identified as Major William Martin of the Royal Marines, a person who didn't actually exist, along with some secret documents that would trick the Nazis into believing the Allies would invade Greece instead of Sicily. And it worked. If a stranger examined what was in your pocket, wallet, or glove compartment right now, what would they learn about you? What do the things you carry say about who you are and what your life is like? So what would I learn about you, Aiden?
Okay, so I got driver's license, pleasure craft operator, Ontario health card, just for
Ontario.
Memories, I guess. My search and rescue card.
Nice.
For I don't know what I would even need that card for, but just to say that I'm part of it.
Cool, yeah.
I got my British Columbia health card.
Oh.
I have a Shell card because there's no Shell in town, so I think there's like $4 on this. Pretty useless. My old school, my student ID card. Then we got your classics, debit cards and Visa. We got Optimum, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Save on more rewards, for whenever you're there. My insurance, but we actually switched insurance companies, so this is actually garbage.
I'll cut it out.
I got my work credit card, my CAA card, a 7-Eleven points card.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I got $5.
This is such a wholesome wallet.
This is awesome.
I got
You're
it.
timed any crime right
Yeah.
now.
I got my Sausage Factory sandwich punch card, which
Oh,
everyone should have in their wallet.
Ooh, fresh start.
I got my credit union member number and a card for a vintage shop that I went to.
That you bought.
A business
What'd
card.
you buy from her?
I bought a violin from her, and I actually said I would send her a picture of it once I built it and it was playable, which I haven't done yet. That's why I kept this.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
And that's my wallet.
That's really fascinating. Don't you think?
What
Yeah.
are those receipts?
All the cool things that we learned about you
And some
tonight, Aiden.
receipts. Yeah. You got a few things. Like, all the different things I'm a member of. Yeah,
No,
you
I-
should do know a lot, actually. Eh?
So I used to work for a company that tracked data. We would learn a lot about you because all those cards that you get extra points from,
Yeah.
we track all that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Totally.
That's how you know what
That's
ads
the
to
whole
sell.
point.
And
She got
then
a points card.
that's how they know what ads to put on your phone screen. Okay. I have my union card for my union. I have a big white ski pass
No.
From 2021.
from 21. Yeah. Definitely not usable. 20% off Mountain Warehouse.
Oh.
Probably expired.
Expired, yeah.
Oh, expired. Yep. That's the garbage pile. Overhang, which is the climbing gym in PG. I think I had 2 on here, but they probably have timed out by now. So, Revelstoke ski pass. My score on a hearing test.
They gave you a card?
That's amazing.
Yeah, they give you a card at Jade. They come out to Wildfire and then they do a hearing test
Oh, I see.
every year.
'Cause I've had hearing impairment for years. I've only got about 30% hearing in 1 ear.
Yeah.
I've never been given a card.
This was they have this mobile like ear
Yeah. It's a little
hearing
trailer,
test.
right?
Yeah, you know what I'm
Wow.
talking about.
What are these interesting symbols? It's like not even.
They're 0, 0, 15, 15,
Oh.
35. Yeah. You just gotta turn.
You have to know which way up to hold the card, I guess, eh?
And to finish it off, we have a Presto card, which is Ontario card you can load money on to take.
Oh, for public transit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My MEC membership card, which I think is useless now.
I think it's
Yeah.
vintage.
Yeah, vintage.
Yeah. Oh,
vintage.
don't throw that away.
And
Oh.
last but not least, I have my PAL.
Wow.
Ah, lovely.
Very nice.
It's a lot of cards.
You carry a lot of cards.
I do.
Man, this is crazy.
I think I've done him a big favor.
I think so too.
A lot of them are
He's
from
only
memory.
got
Gotten rid of 2 things.
Yeah,
Well, it's
get rid
true.
of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Take this home. You don't have to throw it out.
Yeah, this
Anyway.
one's good when I go home.
So does anybody else want to share what is in their pockets? Or
Pockets or wallets?
I could do a wallet.
I wish I brought my
So
wallet.
I've just got a big stack of hundreds, you know.
Oh.
You're just gonna be the opposite of mine, actually.
I want to see what's in Nate's wallet.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
First of all, Nate, could you describe the wallet for us?
I would love to. So
Artisanal.
this is actually made by my brother.
Wow.
He made this for me by hand. It has a little 2019 has my initials in there. So it's I love this wallet. Best wallet
wow.
I've ever owned.
So I've learned wallet litter about your wallet, not the
Yeah.
contents of the wallet.
You know, my contents will be very boring, but
The wallet's very
I really love this
Oh,
wallet.
it's lovely.
Mm.
Yeah, my little brother Sam.
Mm.
So I actually empty my wallet probably like once a month to get rid of any
Once a
card
month.
I don't need. Like
That's
You have the opposite
sadistic.
approach.
in my dresser drawer, I have a little like sunglass case with all the cards I'm not using. Like if I'm gonna go on a trip somewhere, or even if I'm going like away somewhere I don't need these cards, I'm dumping those cards.
Well,
Like-
I've lost my wallet once or twice, and so then you have to get your social insurance card again, and you have to get your birth certificate again. So this is smart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do I have?
I
There you
have, instead of a sunglass case, I just have my old wallet.
Yeah,
And there's even more random
I have
cards.
that
Shoved in that
You know how we
one.
have to be.
So I
You would
I
not make
use
a
the
very
same
good
method,
spy.
but I don't do it nearly as often.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, I have a
He's a bit more.
Starbucks card for $4 off your next visit because I bought a Starbucks and then they just forgot about me. So they felt bad and they gave me a Starbucks. Anyway,
Nice.
driver's license with a psychotic look.
Wow, that is frightening.
Blue? water.
Wow, I thought mine was.
What do you got on there?
Yeah.
It's $25, I think.
Whoa.
Wow.
I know. Debit, credit card,
Photo.
services card. This is my.
With more hair.
Oh, the pool and rec center card.
But I got kind of like
Right.
Oh.
shifted.
Yes.
So that's for playing squash. Also got the pleasure craft.
Nice.
Our British card. Insurance. Core. Yeah, my core hunting thing. Pal. And an Optimum card.
Huh.
That's about it.
Optimum.
I keep it lean.
Keep it
I'm
lean.
actually surprised I even have. It's like too many.
I'm surprised you don't, on your way to Blue Water, go, oh, I gotta go to the sunglasses case.
Yeah, gotta hit up the sunglasses case.
Check for any gift. So good.
Wow. It's impressive. Well, I have my wallet on my phone,
Mmm.
Oh.
so I do have a couple of things on here that I could showcase. We've got a debit and a Visa
Right.
and a BCAA membership and a Scene card and an Optimum card.
Oh.
And 19 expired boarding passes from
Oh, yeah.
several trips.
Mmm.
19
She's traveled.
Yeah.
The
But,
only thing I have
but mine
in
is
my
pretty
pocket
clean, actually.
is a
as it
grocery
turns
list.
out.
What's that?
a grocery list.
Yes.
Is that interesting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I can read you my
Oh,
grocery
nice.
list.
Yeah, let's hear what's in.
Some of these we already bought. We had what we call Swiss chalet for dinner tonight, and so I bought a rotisserie chicken, and then we buy the Swiss chalet sauce, which if you're from Ontario is the best sauce. I guess they have Swiss chalet here too,
Wait,
but fewer
where is
and
the
far
Swiss
between.
chalet sauce?
It's with the gravy pouches. You buy the Swiss chalet dipping
Oh,
sauce,
What?
potato wedges,
Uh-huh.
bagged salad.
Oh my gosh.
That was the ones I got, and then the things I still need to buy: kale, mozzarella, romaine, olives ? Sun-dried tomatoes, basil, pesto, peppers, broccoli, strawberries. I had whipping cream, but I crossed it out because we have 2 tubs of ice cream in the freezer, and I thought, good enough. Tomatoes, meats, cheeses, grapes, apple, pear, iced tea, bubbly water, snacks ? It's all because my family's coming to visit this weekend, and I have 3 teenage half-sisters, and I feel like they like to have snacks, and we're going to make pizza.
Sounds very healthy. Thank you.
You bet.
Danny, would you like to?
I also have a
Contribute?
minimal wallet. Oh, nice.
Wow. Nice wallet.
Got in Spain. It's a pelican on it.
Aw,
I have mostly CIBC cards.
she's loyal.
The other thing that made it in there was a library card,
Right.
Yeah.
driver's license, and a piece of paper,
A letter. A love letter.
Oh, a love letter.
A love letter.
a dental receipt,
Oh.
Oh.
and a SIM card.
And a SIM
And a SIM
card.
card.
Spain.
Oh. That sounds like something a spy would have in her wallet, for sure.
That's
Absolutely
very
ditch the
cool.
SIM card.
But I used to have more things until I got this wallet. Just this
That
wallet
keeps
doesn't
you.
hold very many.
Some people, like, there's one woman who comes to SBC with the same gold envelope, and it's like a tattered gold envelope. And every time she comes, I'm like,
And I
is
did
she
mine
gonna
in
pull out
the
this gold envelope? I get like, I mean, is she still using
It's
this
like a
thing?
wallet?
Yeah,
That's
this
what she
is-
uses as her wallet. Like,
Oh.
she puts some cash or money in it, and then she
also-
pulls it out every time. It's the same
Like an envelope
like,
from a card?
tat,
If you're ever
completely
here
tattered.
and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah, like
a-
sort of like pastel-y,
Right,
shiny
yeah.
gold, but
if
totally
there's like a
falling
random
apart.
donation,
Wow.
that is like a value.
It's pretty wild.
Okay, so you'd like to know what's inside of my pockets? Okay, I've got keys, many keys. I've got a personal cell phone.
2 phones.
One is not enough, apparently. So a work phone, excellent. You know what this is?
Yeah, a bobby pin.
Yeah, a bobby pin.
A dime.
Never know when you need a random dime.
That's funny. A library
A
card.
library card.
I love you.
A
business
card,
card.
just in case somebody needs to call. And a tissue.
Yes. I think all
That's in
women
my
carry
pockets.
tissues around with them, don't they? I always
oh.
carry tissues.
Oh, we do. Oh, we're not quite done. Hairpin,
Another hairpin. Okay.
an old receipt.
Okay.
Never know when you need junk. And that's it.
Okay. This tells me a whole bunch of things about you. I don't want to claim to know what I'm doing with this, but I think we should analyze what we're looking at here.
Okay.
So first of all, the library card. That
The
tells me a
library card.
really great thing about you. It doesn't necessarily associate you with Story Walk, but it's an easy step.
Mm-hmm.
The next step would be story walk. So you obviously like books.
I love books, absolutely.
And so 2 phones, that suggests to me probably work. One's probably a work phone.
Absolutely work, yeah.
So here's an employed person. And the number of keys on your key ring suggests to me that you've got income. There's obviously a car key because there's one of those key fobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way to go. Wow, interesting.
Well, don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean, it tells me a lot of things
sure.
about you. And it tells me you have long hair. If I can't see that, if I just look at what's in your pockets,
Fair
right?
enough. Yeah.
Somebody with long hair.
It's really fascinating. It's not really something I've ever stopped to think about.
Yeah, and I was really intrigued by the whole idea of this being used to deceive somebody about who you are. Because wallet litter does tell me a lot about a person, if you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I read that, Operation Mincemeat, I've looked at what was in my pockets a lot more carefully. Like, there's always dog bags in my pockets because I have a dog, right? There's always tissue because I have allergies.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah. There are certain things I love that you've got a dime in your pocket. You don't have any money, but you've got a dime. And I can tell you a story about something like that. So I wrote a book about cycling in Ontario. And one evening, I was on Twitter and somebody messaged me through Twitter and said, help, I can't get my bike light to work. And it's late at night and it's cold out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the battery needs to be changed. And I can't get the light apart. And I said, take a dime. You can fit it underneath the cap and
No
it'll
way.
pop off. And she said it worked.
Wow.
It's magic. But you see, I've been caught out that way a few times.
Okay. So there you go. You never know. When
As
you
soon
can
as
put
I
a
saw
dime
your
to work.
dime, I thought, I know what a dime can be
There
used
you
for.
go. Very clever.
Yeah, wallet litter is really neat.
I was at a wedding before where the MC decided that we would eat in the order of all sorts of creative things that could be found in the room. So, for example, the first person up to the MC with a dime, their whole table got to go up and eat their dinner. And maybe the first person to come up with a black key fob got to eat next. And so you'd actually be really amazed at the sorts of things that, I think particularly women, what they all carry around at times. It's pretty entertaining.
That's funny. So that reminds me, and listen to me, I've got so many stories. So I was writing a book on cycling in Toronto, as I say, and one day there was a BMX bikes event at one of the arenas in town. So I went to the event. And there were all these kids all around me with their bikes, and they're very colorful people. So they were shouting out all kinds of things. They'd go down and they'd compete and then they'd come back up and they'd be limping and they'd say to me, can I borrow your ankle? They were just so lovely. Well, there were posters everywhere, right, to celebrate this thing. And a dad and his small child happened to be walking by one of the posters and the child pointed like they wanted the poster. And it was up on the arena wall and had to be pulled down, had zip ties holding it there. So he turned around and he said, does anybody have a pocket knife? And every one of the women in the crowd, including me, pulled out a pocket knife to offer to this guy. It was hilarious. It was so great. Wallet litter.
You've been listening to the final episode of our 3-part series on mystery novels on Tungsten, Bulletproof Hacks for the Moth-Eaten. Tungsten is produced by Christine Bruce, aired through CICK 93.9 FM in Smithers, BC, available anytime at smithersradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get into mischief again soon. In case you need a little fix this week, I'll leave you with a life hack. Ask a friend what's in their pocket. Exchange wallet litter stories and see what you learn about each other. When I asked my friends to indulge me, I wasn't surprised to learn how interesting they are, nor what good sports they could be. But it did reinforce that I enjoy them for all the right reasons, and that in itself is very reassuring.